Jeff, what does that tell you about those programs? If you want to point at one, I know we were talking Carolina earlier this week, and just the state of things that some of the most expensive teams, well, money doesn't necessarily buy you happiness.
That's a great point, John. That's a great point. It does not, because, again, you've got to put together teams that fit together, number one. And when you're paying some of these kids big NIL, some of them aren't going to be quite as motivated, frankly. And then there's going to be maybe some chemistry issues on the team if these guys getting big NIL aren't producing. So there's no actual figures out there right now. But what I will say is 3 teams that are in the top 5, maybe 7 in NIL right now are Arkansas, Kansas State, and Indiana. All 3 of them right now are struggling mightily, right? I mean, look at Kansas State today. They lose to St. John's. No shame. I mean, they were up and they end up losing, but, they've lost to LSU at home, to Liberty on a neutral court. Indiana went 1-2 in the Bahamas. They've beaten virtually nobody. I don't want to say nobody. They beat Providence on a neutral court. They beat South Carolina at home, but those don't look like tournament teams so far. And as I said earlier, Arkansas's best win at a Miami team that's lost 6 in a row right now. So those 3 teams, just because you have a big payroll, and all 3 of those are paying out more than $5 million, and I think Arkansas and Kansas State are well over that. I think Indiana is probably right around 5. The other 2 are well over 5. It doesn't mean you're going to win. So you have to be smart in how you go about it and put together a team that fits, where Indiana just hasn't, and maybe run an offense that listen, I think honestly, if you want to get it straight from me, like a couple of those, their staffs are a little bit questionable. Their offenses are a little bit questionable. And, again, you're putting together Kansas State. I just didn't think the pieces fit together all that well. They're not playing on Yensu at all, which I don't think he should be playing, but they paid him a handsome amount of NIL to sit on the bench.
McCall, what do you make of the current climate? What do you make of some of these teams?
It only takes one, Fanta, to mess the whole thing up. And we're not in those locker rooms, right? We're not in there. We don't know the insides. We're just watching and we're critiquing what they're running on offense, how they're guarding pick and rolls, different things. We're critiquing what we see. But I said it earlier in the show, you can play the game of basketball a lot of different ways. And look, the offense that Kentucky's running right now with the ball movement and the passing and all that, we love to see it. It's great. But in terms of what's going on the interior of your locker room, when guys are getting paid this amount of money, okay, someone could be upset. And if your team is not connected, I don't care how much money you have in NIL, I don't care how talented your roster is, but if your team is not connected, you have no shot. You have no shot. If your staff is not connected, you have no shot. If you have a member of your staff that thinks this guy should be getting paid more money and he's the coach should be playing him, whatever it may be, like, you have no shot. It's all about that connectivity. So I think when you see some of these teams that have these high payrolls, I think it's a lack of that. But we're not on the inside. We don't see inside their locker room, so it's hard for us to say it. We want to critique what they're running on offense, but when you have a talented team that's not performing at the level that they should be performing at, there's a lot of layers to unpeel in terms of that.